Well, 15 minutes after lunch, and we are in the beautiful Canadian province of New Brunswick. Yes, absolutely. We've made it to New Brunswick. I'm parking it right here. Oh, no, I'm not. If I try parking it here, I'm going to fall over. All right, said I wasn't going to do it. Watch me fall. First of all, welcome to the channel and thank you for stopping by. When time permits, please consider subscribing. I would greatly appreciate it. All right, it is a beautiful sunny day in upstate New York. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be riding in upstate New York today. Well, fortunately, but unfortunately for the weather. I'm heading today to Benton, Maine to meet 3 guys to go on a trip to Nova Scotia. They are by far the best team of photographers on YouTube, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing them again. I met them briefly at the Motophoto Adventure rally, had some really great conversations, and had originally planned to do the Northeastern BDR with them. Unfortunately, the storms we had up here washed out so much of Section 4 and 5 that Chris has rerouted this to a trip around Nova Scotia, which, despite it only being 6.5 hours away from me, I've never ridden a motorcycle up there, so I'm very much looking forward to it. Let's look at the bike briefly and then head towards Benton, Maine. All right, I made a decision here that I'm already starting to regret, or at least starting to pay the price for. Instead of going with racks like I traditionally do, I went with primarily soft bags and duffels. Unfortunately, even though these Rhino Walks are 24 liters each, I've still filled a 50-liter bag. I've got my water stored outside of it. I hysterically tried to store it inside at first, didn't work out. Then I've got food in my rig gear bag. And up here, this is the 8-liter hurricane bag. And that hurricane bag is entirely full. I can't fit anything else on this bike. Actually, that's a mistake. I did leave a little bit of room in here for more food. We're going to be camping primarily, so I will need to have my food with me. So I've got room for a little bit more food, but that's it. This bike is as packed as it gets. And a major problem I've run into is without a rack, I have no tool tube mounted. Without a tool tube mounted, a ton of my tools and tire supplies have to be packed with my regular gear. And I didn't realize how much room my 4-inch tool tube had. It saved me an incredible amount of space in my duffel that I have to use on this bike. So that's part of where it's going to come back to bite me. All right, let's get on the road. It's about 6 hours on motorcycle. The weather is unfortunately not going to stay blue and sunny for long. After 6 hours, almost 7 in the rain and the sun and the rain and again, I have made it to where I'm meeting just a few people to spend the next couple of days, God, almost a week, in Nova Scotia. So we're here in Benton, Maine, where Jamin and his wife Bethany put us up, not in their field tenting, not in a trailer, not in any kind of 1-star accommodations, but in his tiny house, which was the very most comfortable way I've spent at any kind of, hey, we can stay here, just go ahead and do it. And fortunately, I was able to eventually meet the gentleman that came up here traveling in the absolute comfort of a beautiful truck. Everybody from Motophoto Adventure, say hi.
Hey. Good morning.
But especially Jamin, say hello. Jamin is the man that made sure that we all slept comfortably except for Steve, who, kind of like the Motophoto ADV rally, brought his hotel with him. And I don't blame him at all because it's a beautiful little hotel on the back of his truck. So Chris has the plan. All I know is we're going to Canada and we're not going to Nova Scotia today. Other than that, I'm just going to follow the beautiful Aprilia. All right, we have just left Jamin and Bethany's here in Benton. and I am following Chris Smith of Motophoto Adventures, the only man on this trip who knows where we are going. I have been to Canada many times, living in upstate New York. It's really not that far. However, I have never actually been to British Columbia, and even though I've been to Maine and I've actually seen the ferry that takes you to Nova Scotia, I have never actually gotten on it, which I regret. I'm kind of hoping on this trip that we do get a ferry opportunity, and if not, I'm sure the ocean views are going to be beautiful. All right, we are still going, enjoying Maine. We've left the small towns and are now enjoying the absolutely gorgeous forest. All right, well, this is interesting. I guess this is what happens when you're with professionals. We just went through this scenic little town, and now the Motophoto guys are going to grab some footage of the scenic trip down Main Street. Not something I would generally do, but incredibly interesting. I enjoy their little slices of life that they put in their videos, and it's nice to kind of see how they on the fly decide, hey, this right here is something that we can use to further the story. Very interesting from my perspective. All right, so that was about 170 miles on the road, and honestly, more than half of it was forest and beautiful, cute little towns we were heading through. But we are close to the border now, and we just got gas at an Irving. Should be going over the border soon. I've acquired a Coke Zero, waiting on a burger and fry, and very excited to get out of the United States. It's been a little while. I've never been to British Columbia, so what is it over here? Whatever it's called. I can't wait to get to Nova Scotia, even though that's going to wait until tomorrow. But waiting for that food. Another beautiful ride here through Maine. Everything is sunny and green. We passed through about 3 small towns. Each one was quaint, just like you would expect in Maine. Is this still New England? I think it's still New England. So we're going to call them quaint New England towns. A couple nice bridges, and just a beautiful forest. Have watched the Motophoto guys do a couple of drive-bys. They appear to be chatting amongst themselves about things on the right and the left, obviously telling a story of their ride. Not something I generally do. I just kind of show you the beautiful area I'm in. It's really nice to look behind the curtain and see what they're doing, which I think will be a theme over the course of this. I am absolutely paying attention to what they're doing, not in any way to emulate it, but just to see how the sauce is made. I do find it interesting. I like their work, and having this opportunity to see the steps they need to take is quite interesting to me, and I hope in some way interesting to you. All right, back to enjoying my trip while the pros work. Well, we are successfully over the border. It took each of us about 2 minutes of answering the basic questions. No firearms, no alcohol, no tobacco, no fresh fruit. And what are you going to do here? Since we are 4 motorcycles filled with camping gear, it did not seem like we were trying to get away with anything, so we just said camping. Quick, easy, probably won't be as easy to get back in the United States. Hopefully you can hear this, it's very breezy. The weather is absolutely turning. Our hundreds and hundreds of miles of beautiful sunshine has given way to partly to mostly cloudy, and where we're going, those clouds are looking absolutely dark. Now, I don't know what these guys like to do, but there's a museum of chocolate up here, and honestly, if I was by myself, I'd probably stop by because I'm very interested in why you put a museum of chocolate on the border. There's got to be a story, and I'm honestly wondering what it is. But I think we're going to push on to our campsite,
It's been a great day of riding. I'm just really hoping that there is not a problem with the rain. If it rains between here and the campsite, honestly, that's fine. But I have to tell you, one of the things I really loathe doing is setting up my tent in the rain. Hoping to avoid that. The last time I went camping, it was pouring when I set up my tent. It was a pain. And I swear, my tent was damp all night. So, here comes some sunlight. Here is hoping it stays dry. This has been a very nice ride. As soon as you cross the border near Calais in Maine, it's just absolutely scenic. I mean, there's nothing here. It's rocks and trees and an immaculately maintained highway. The only thing ruining the view is, while the sun is getting better behind us, the clouds are getting darker where we're going. One thing to consider when riding through beautiful New Brunswick is this highway is very, very exposed. I'm really asking a lot of the mic to be able to pick up my voice right now. And I'm not sure if you can see it, but everything's wiggling around because usually we're elevated and the crosswinds are just whipping the bike around. This is not someplace I would want to be on a lightweight bike. And I think if the weather turned on you and there was any kind of precipitation here, it would not be a joy to be fighting the high winds here and staying on the road safely. We got Steve, right? All right, we have Steve here. Steve is a robust man, no problem staying still. We have Jason on the venerable classic V-Strom 650. Takes a lot to move one of those. But Chris here, like myself, is on a relatively lightweight, middleweight bike. And I am absolutely sure he is feeling this wind as well. Alrighty there. Things were going great until we got to the town. We are in Saint something, and there is road construction. Here he comes. We lost Jason for a minute there. Coming in now. We were stuck in some traffic, and the next thing I know, Steve is zooming up. So I caught up as I have no idea where we're going, and I'm not on comm, so I can't afford to be misplaced in this city. So my bike says 343, and I believe due to some daylight saving shenanigans, them not following the nonsense, it's an hour off of that. It certainly feels like it's a bit of a rush hour here. But I will not bore you with the tediousness of hanging around in Canadian traffic. But hey, even the traffic jams have great views here. Oh, I guess we are going to make some more decisions. Of course, these guys are in South Carolina driver's licenses. They probably have no worry about points. I know that in Ontario and Quebec, New Yorkers still worry about the points. Wonder about New Brunswick. I hope I never find out. Oh, this is so much fun. Traffic. But hey, it's the first traffic I've hit in 597 miles, so I really cannot make much of a complaint. And people are typically Canadian. They've been very good about letting us merge in, despite our being American jerks and merging out to get ahead of them. So, thank you, Canada. I appreciate it. All right, back to the enjoyment of traffic. 10 minutes later, we are out of the town, which was not St. George, but St. John. And it's all beautiful again. I think I'm blocking somebody's traffic here. Canadians have been nice to us. I certainly don't want to slow anybody down. These people are probably trying to get home. As for the rain, it rained on us for about 3 minutes, ever so slightly, a little more than a mist, and then we turned east away from it. So yeah, a little dark over there, looking fantastic here. And since we're going to the coast, I am hoping we avoid any real rain. Light misting, keep it up. Don't rain on me, please. All right, according to the GPS, we are getting to the ocean. Given that we were planning to camp near the ocean, hopefully this means our campsite's nearby. And if not, I hope we stop and take a look. I can just barely see it here, and I really want to see more of it. Come on, Chris, pull us over. Wow. Oh, I love the water. All water. I want to camp by the river, I want to camp by lakes, and I absolutely positively love, and I've only done it twice, camping by the ocean. It is not going to be as toasty as my last two campsites by the ocean, though, as those were in the Everglades National Forest. And I want to say the first time was just over 100, and the second time was just over 90 when I got there. And it is 66 degrees pulling into this area of New Brunswick, Canada. So we will be testing out the 3-season ability of that tent for sure. All right, I will pick you up once we finally get to some water. Or, oh no, hold on. I think Chris is taking us to the water now. Chris from Motophoto Adventures, as I consider it, Steve Ruse Rides and his staff, has been our Sherpa and has taken us on quite a nice trip. We might complain or criticize an ever tiny amount about him taking us through St. John during rush hour, but that's probably all of our faults for taking a long lunch. Uh-oh. I'm talking about how great our Sherpa is, and our Sherpa is taking us around. U-turn time. What happened? Oh, I think Steve knows where we're going. Oh no, Steve just took the easy U-turn. All right, GPS, what are you doing here? We are U-turning our U-turn. Guess we're gonna have to figure out what we're doing. We're stopping? All right, we're stopping. My bike is taller than Chris's. I can tell you right now, I'm not backing this thing up on gravel. I'm parking it right here. Oh, no, I'm not. If I try parking it here, I'm going to fall over. All right. Said I wasn't going to do it. Watch me fall. I've run out of leg. I can't put 2 toes down. Have I mentioned before that I do not have the inseam? Look at this. Probably can't see, but I do not have the inseam for a 790R. Alright, let's find out what's going on.
Okay, after nearly 300 miles, we have reached our destination. Or I should say, we've passed our destination. The initial campsite Chris had found for us was $39 per person, which when you multiply by 4 wasn't so great. So Jason and I hopped on our bikes and left Chris. And we came here for $50 for 4 people. So we were very generous and let Chris, who has been great all day, getting us everywhere we want to go, to camp with us here. It is not the prettiest campsite. On one side we have a general store and a main street as our option, but we do have a beautiful cemetery. I mean ocean. Right past the cemetery we have a beautiful ocean, which I plan to walk down and try to avoid, considering that I'm sleeping next to a cemetery. Everybody's tents are set up. It held off on the rain. We do have a lot of cloud cover coming in, but the tents are set up. We're ready for it if it happens. Gonna hit the general store, then take a look at that ocean. All right, I knew I would have fun with the Motophoto Adventure guys, but today is day one, and I just heard the funniest thing ever. Jason said, "Do you want to go to the store?" I said, "That's a great idea." And Chris goes, "Jason, bring a GoPro. You've got to film it."
So here we are, filming it.
So now we have two cameras going into...
You can't go in. I'll get it for you.
Thank you very much. So now we have two people filming this quaint little general store that is literally across the street from where we're staying.
But we couldn't bring across the border.
Steve had to discard his bananas, and now we have bananas. There go our free bananas. Now we have to pay for them. It's a Canadian conspiracy. Wow, if you're camping, holy shoot. This is a full-featured general store. Whatever you could want. A whole lot better than a camp store. Including ice cream.
Jeez, we could have...
Timmy, where are you, man? The Grumpy Grill would be perfect here.
Look at the steaks.
Look at this meat.
Look at the steak, Timmy.
Oh, the things you could do here.
Hey, how are you, sir?
How are you? Don't mind us. We're just Americans.
Don't have to out us right away.
Oh, I think we're walking around with cameras. We outed ourselves. All right, not actually bison.
What are y'all eating?
Timmy?
Potato salad?
Dude, brother, I miss you. Look what I have to do. Canadian Mr. Noodles. That's all we have for food. And chips. A little bit of potato salad. We need a Grumpy Grill, man.
And a side of DEET.
A side of DEET. And it's probably more flavorful than my noodles will be.